How many people would be okay with the government controlling their pocketbook? I know I'm not. We're all college students out here today. This is a very touching subject, very impactful subject among many college students. I am paying for my own college. I don't know about you. I'm assuming most of you are. I also work in municipal government, and I understand how the local subsidies and government subsidies have a huge impact on where the money goes and how it trickles down to other municipalities, other bodies of government. Today I'm going to talk to you about how I think free college tuition is a bad thing in the United States in the education system for several reasons, such as student debt service, who pays for college if you do not, and this has turned into a political platform. First of all, as I mentioned, student debt loan services. From the Funding Higher Education by Deborah Spencer, student loans have become the second highest debt service, passing credit cards, second to only mortgages in a single household. We can manage this in several different ways by preventing failure per student debt by Sandy Baum. There is a massive amount of debt service for people who do not finish college or universities. We need to look at possibly adding policy to really help eliminate people who do not need debt service but take it on anyway, or they're basically just set up for failure. So they end up with massive debt because they didn't really need it. Secondly, who pays for it if you do not, or your parents do not, or some sort of aid is not given? Who ultimately ends up paying for it? Per the Funding Higher Education by Deborah Spencer, it states that 1/3 of students receive grants, scholarships, and other funding simply other than debt service. I took a classroom poll in our speech class. 50% of the responses say they would not support higher taxes or property tax aid through our taxes through personal property in Missouri, income taxes in Illinois. 50% also said they would be angry if they were paying off their student loans and then there was programs provided to give others aid and free college tuition while they were still paying off their student loans. You have a budget war brought to you by Christopher Newfield. Have we wrecked the public university? Public universities used to be subsidized much more than they are today. It is typically now that they are financially independent, which has driven the cost of universities through the roof. Public universities were typically brought to you with subsidies from or supposed to be subsidized by the government, keeping tuition low and more affordable. That is not the case anymore. They're competing more along the lines with the private universities. Last of all, this has turned into a political platform. President Obama in 2008 brought the policy of public or free community college. That source was The Reality of Free Community College Tuition by Fran Cubberly. That was ultimately held up in Congress and in the Senate, so it did not move through. Many people often do not realize that community colleges are already subsidized. I've brought to you my tax bill today. On here we have Southwestern Illinois Community College. My home value is about $102,000. I pay over 65% of my tax bill goes to local schools such as our elementary school and our high school, and also Southwestern Illinois College. Southwestern Illinois College is about 4.65% of my tax bill, so there's already money going towards that. 62.5% of the students that I polled said they would choose community college over a public or a four-year university first if it was offered free. What's Wrong with Guaranteeing Free College Education by Stephen Crayson talks about Democratic control of the presidency and Congress would ultimately lead to policy pushing legislation forward for free college education. Once again, my tax bill. Who pays for that? We are already spending enough money going towards the education system. I cannot imagine if you added this to my tax bill. How high would it be? I have a $100,000 house and I'm already paying $2,500 a year just for taxes. And as I said, majority of that is going towards the school systems. Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton ran on the 2016 election on one of their political platforms were the free college tuition, which is What is Wrong with Guaranteeing Free College Education by Stephen Crayson. They were planning on imposing taxes. They were not very clear as to who was going to pay for it, where those lines and boundaries were going to be set. So that being said, that's a pretty scary topic. In conclusion, I hope that you have a better understanding as to why I am against free college education. There were several different topics that led to that. The student debt service being mismanaged, who pays for the free college tuition, and it's turned into a political platform. I do not want my last dollar to be spent and controlled by the government.